Okay everyone, this video is designed to inform people on what all you'll have to do if you decide to take a TBI truck such as this 1989 Chevy K1500 and swap it over to a Vortec engine but keep the TBI. So one of the first things that I ran into was the front accessories. Because this is an 89, from 88 to 90 these trucks use the stamped steel brackets that have a different bracket along here. This is all different, all the belts are different, so I swapped them to the 92 to 94 style, which are the aluminum ones, because your brackets will not work with this intake. There aren't bolt holes over here or back here for where the braces for the tensioner go, the alternator, and the AC compressor. You can run it without these, it's not going to hurt anything. The second thing that you will run into is the water pump. As you guys can see under there, that is a stock TBI water pump. On the Vortec engines, you have to run a bypass hose, which I did here, for the coolant, otherwise you'll get weird overheating problems. Now this is a TBI pump which only has one fitting because this truck does not have a functioning heater core. What I did is this has that there's a hole at the bottom on, oh well, you guys can see it down there, but there is a second hole. I don't know what you guys can see that in there, but there's a second hole on the water pump. You've got a bolt hole here, a bolt hole here, and then there's another hole below it. You will need to take some high heat JB weld or some epoxy and plug that hole up, otherwise it'll leak. This motor has about 5,000 miles on it, and so far I haven't seen any leaks, but you will have to plug that off. Second thing is your intake. Because this is a Vortec engine, you cannot use the TBI intake. I do not recommend using the intakes that have the adapters so that you can run them on the Vortec heads, because these are straight up and down. It's not worth it to risk it. Just spend the money and buy a carbureted Vortec intake manifold. And then what I did is I got a throttle body to carb adapter off of Facebook Marketplace to bolt up the TBI unit to the carbureted intake. You can find them just about anywhere. JEG sells them, brand new. Transdapt, I believe, is the company that makes it. Second thing, or another thing you run into is your throttle bracket. If you have a 700 R4, this is very important. If you have a 4L60E, it doesn't really matter as much. Because I have the 700 R4, you'll have to buy a throttle bracket from Summit. I'll include the part number in an update video when I install it. It bolts back here on these two back bolts, and then that gets your linkage right for your throttle and for your TV cable and all that. As for the bracket that was over here that held these up right here, these sensors, it doesn't really matter. You can just let them dangle there. Another thing that I ran into was the distributor gear. This is actually a distributor out of a 1990 L98 tune port injection Corvette. The cam gear on the bottom has to be a hardened or a Mellonized cam gear. Otherwise, it'll eat up the cam if you're using a stock Vortec roller cam. If you choose to swap it to a TBI or a flat tappet cam, you won't have this issue. Exhaust manifolds and dipstick, they all go in the same spot. Other than that, there's not really much else to it. Your coil bracket, you can either choose to use it or just do like I did and just set it there because I'm lazy. Another thing that most people forget about is this hose for the brake booster, for your vacuum hose on the brake booster. On this intake, it had the port back here for it. That's a 3/8 NPT to 3/8 hose barb with a 90 on it. Most people I've seen, they try to take this and cut it and then they run it up here somewhere. To me, it just looks shitty. I just replaced this valve and then run a fresh piece of hose all the way over there. To me, it looks much cleaner that way. And then another thing that I ran into was the thermostat neck. So instead of reusing the stock TBI one, I went with the aftermarket one, and I ran the grounds a little bit differently. Other than that, everything bolts right up. Like your oil pressure sensor back there, it bolts up. The adapter down there, which I have to actually replace mine, So it's cracked. That one bolts up. Other than your front accessories and your distributor, everything bolts right in just like it should. Don't have to do anything to the wiring, and just by doing this swap, I've probably gained 20 or 30 horsepower if you keep the stock TBI, which this is. There's nothing special about it. But total cost on this, so this is a 107,000 mile Vortec 350 from a 98 Chevy truck. I paid $900 for it as of this video. Prices will depend on mileage and stuff like that. The intake was about, I think I paid $110 for that at a swap meet. The adapter was $40, and I got the distributor for free. But you can find those cam gears online for like $36, I think is what it is. But yeah, if y'all got any questions, send them to me in the comments. But that's how you swap a Vortec 350 into a TBI truck. If you have a 92 to 94, you don't have to worry about the accessories. You can reuse those. If you have an 88 to 90 or 88, 89, and I think some 90 models have it, which are the stamped steel brackets, you have to worry about that. And if you're running EGR, this is mainly for if you don't have to comply with your emissions. If you're running EGR, you're SOL, you're shit out of luck, because the because it's a carbureted intake, there's no hole for it, for the valve or for the system, which these trucks don't really need it. They'll just set the service engine light sometimes and then it'll go away. I guess I'll start it up for you guys so y'all can see what an open header Vortec 350 sounds like. That's all there is to it. It's that easy. Stay tuned for more, y'all. Later.